Imagine 216 million metric tons of CO2 spilling into the atmosphere. You can think of that as more than 56,521,739 mid-size SUVs running in one parking lot every year for 30 years. That is the amount of CO2 that will be released by the Willow Project, a gas and oil mining project that will impact thousands of acres of habitat, which will be useless to native wildlife under the constant human disruption. The Willow Project is far too damaging to the planet's atmosphere and native wildlife to be allowed to proceed. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, we need oil and gas to run society, and a lot of acres of land get bulldozed every day. But what makes this project really so bad? The fact of the matter is that almost 80% of the animal population is bound to be disrupted, such as polar bears, caribou, and other small mammals. And in addition to that, it will also have an impact on marine life due to the amount of boating and other materials being brought into these sites to actually build them and to maintain crews and to also take oil out. Everything is at stake for this land, and if we don't make this choice now, it's going to impact us in the future, and it's going to impact us forever. The Willow Project will impact the environment in irreversible ways. Estimated drilling will take place for up to 30 years. During that time, almost 180,000 barrels will be drilled per day from 3 different well locations, not just one. As I stated before, over 260 million metric tons of CO2 will be released into the atmosphere, and additionally, carbon exhaust from vehicles, boats, and other machinery will be released and cause up to 100,000 metric tons of additional carbon waste. Not to mention any oil spills into open water that will be used during this process for both taking the oil out of these stations and bringing in necessities and workers. In addition to the blatant pollution caused by this project, the native wildlife will also suffer. Roads, construction, and any of the other noise on these drilling sites will disrupt the habitat and migration patterns for some of the largest populations of caribou, grizzly, and polar bear in the entire world. Because of this pollution, native animal and plant disruption is proving to be some of the worst predicted in years. And if it takes place, the effects will not be short. They will be long lasting. Caribou and grizzly populations may not be able to recover from an actual 30-year period of disruption, and the planet is already succumbing to levels of CO2 that modern civilization creates. Due to the imminent disruption that will be caused by the Willow Project, it cannot take place if we want future generations to be able to have all the things we do in this world. I don't want to tell my children in the future that Alaska had all this beautiful nature and they had it and we no longer have it. I don't want to show them pictures. I want to bring them there. I want them to see it for themselves. I don't want them to know that we just sat back and allowed all of this to happen when we could have done something. The Willow Project is also pushing out and harming human populations who have a right to the land. In a quote by Alice Rosenbluth, the Willow Project would disproportionately harm the Alaskan native village of Nisquit, already grappling with extreme population decline from pollution and existing oil projects. She even reports an incident on the North Slope gas leak, which happened a year prior, that caused many native peoples to suffer health issues such as severe breathing issues, nausea, and even small skin lesions. The Biden administration, as well as others who push for the bill, are now justifying it as a new fuel source. They argue that without this new land, oil, and gas products, all of our other supplies will dwindle. And additionally, due to the fact that this is federal land, they've also argued that it is not in the public's interest to interfere with government-owned land that would be benefiting them. While this venture may bring more oil, don't we already have enough? In 2020 alone, the Middle East exported over 14.1 million barrels of oil, or over 40%, and the U.S. bought almost all of that, or usually North American companies did. In addition to other sources of oil, there are also alternative methods. Instead of using gas and oil products, solar, wind power, and even electric are becoming widely accepted and create fewer emissions without disruption of wildlife, and they don't leave the atmosphere in shambles. This project is simply being argued as necessary because oil companies want to profit from it. They have no regard for the land, animals, or native people that call it home, nor do they care about the American public who will be suffering in the future due to these effects of pollution. In summary, the Willow Project is a drilling project that will harm not only the land, the animals, and the native peoples, but the world. Gas emissions in the form of CO2 are already severely impacting our planet, and adding 260 million more metric tons is digging us farther into a hole that we may not be able to get out of. If you want a future for your children and the native peoples, and even the wildlife that call this space in Alaska home, push for the Willow Project to be disbanded in any way that you can, because if we don't stop this now, we will not have a future to live in.